Louis Life Wellness is here joining us. Hey, Nikki, thank you so much.
Hey!
Welcome. We did it.
Oh, finally.
We managed to come on. We did it.
Hi, thanks for inviting me, Gwen. Thanks for
Oh, it's
inviting
really
me.
lovely to have you here. I'll just start just to kind of let people know what we're planning for tonight. So if you're just joining us, I've got joining me the lovely Nikki Dutta. And Nikki isn't just a QHHT practitioner, I should say. She's also an NLP practitioner, CBT therapist. She's a spiritual coach, counselor as well. She's a trance meditation teacher, Akashic Records guide. I imagine that would be past life regressionist, and psychic medium intuitive. So she's very multi-talented, multi-gifted. It's a real pleasure to have her here tonight. Thank you for joining me, Nikki. But how this all came about is I had a QHHT session with Nikki. She was recommended to me by one of my students and very good friend, Carol, Reiki Stylist on here now. And so I just thought that my experience was just so profound. I just wanted to sort of share you with everybody else, because literally I spent all day with you, which I love. So for me, it was like the thought of joining you all day was like going to a spa or something like that. I so needed some replenishment. I've been healing over and over and over other people. So, and it is nice, although I do myself Reiki, sometimes it's nice to get out of the way and go and see someone and just have them, you know, kind of work with you. And you just need to relax and follow and be guided by them. I won't give away too much in terms of the structure of the day, because I know you're going to talk about that. But it was such a beautiful experience in different phases. And I know you bring a different mix to it because of all the gifts and the things that you do. It's quite a unique experience, possibly compared to other QHHT experiences. But welcome. I'm so glad you're here to join me. And I guess we'll probably start by just sort of just finding out a little bit more about you and you've obviously done a lot of things, but what brought you to QHHT particularly initially, and we'll kind of go from there. But thank you so much for being here, Nikki.
So first of all, Gwen, thanks for inviting me. It's really a big pleasure, you know, to be part of this. And honestly, this is my first Instagram live. Yes. And I was actually panicking, like, oh my God, am I supposed to do it? But finally we made it. I'm happy.
Yes, yeah.
But well, regarding my journey, well, my journey has been a really incredible one. I could just say that I started up as a psychic medium. So that was my first thing that ever happened, was, you know, getting awakening. And I could only help, you know, ask thanks to my father, because he's always there with me. And it's only through his passing away I got my awakening, which was a huge one. And after that, you know, there was no stopping. And so the first thing that I actually stumbled upon was being a medium. And the journey was all about kind of working and seeing things and kind of understanding things, because it could be at times, you know, that you're so busy with life, you know, trying to earn some money and get, you know, food on your table and all those kind of things, that we forget that there's more to life. And we kind of totally don't see the other side. And there's a huge side, really, that we have not even tapped into. And as I was moving on and kind of doing these things, you know, I actually stumbled upon QHHT. So QHHT basically is something that I really adore, and it's very, very close to me and my heart, because I get opportunity to help people, and in various different ways and methods. And I incorporate my way of working. So my modality is a little different, where I incorporate other aspects of my gifts that I come into. And it just kind of makes it more than brilliant. That's how I can say. And yeah, I mean, QHHT. So if I have to talk about QHHT, the full form of it is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. So it is a hypnotic technique that, you know, we work on, which is working with the theta, or the altered state of mind. And this basically, you know, technique was created and developed by Dolores Cannon, late Dolores Cannon, and gosh, I can't tell you enough about this wonderful and lovely lady. She is the one who, because being a medium, she had passed in 2014. She had come through to me in spirits in order to kind of handpick her student in order to tell that you need to do this work.
Wow.
And I can't tell you enough of how I just kind of, you know, went on the spree of, oh my God, I've got a celebrity come through to me. And it was amazing, because until then I was just being a medium, giving people readings, you know, your granddad has come in, your mum is here, or your dog is here, you know, all those kind of things. And suddenly there is Dolores Cannon, this amazing lady, standing in front of me and telling me, giving me the command of, like, you really need to do this work. So as you would even know, Gwen, that we always have guides around us, guiding us and kind of influencing us in what you really need to do. So for me, I was more than really, I was always interested with past lives, always interested since I was really young. And I really thought that, you know, there's always something more, or something more that I really need to do, and just didn't know what. And I've read Dolores Cannon's books, which is a lot to do with past lives and parallel lives and other, you know, mystic stuff. And I really couldn't believe that she came through in order to tell me that you really need to do this work. It's almost like, you know, my guides are like, the elephant is here. Now, this is what you really need to do. We've been telling you for all this time. You're not listening. So that's how I actually stumbled upon QHHT. And after that, you know, going on to doing other aspects of therapist work, also doing like CBT and NLP, you know, that came, it was one of the things that you have to work with, because it's a neurological thing. So it works better with, you know, the thing with QHHT as well. So, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I didn't know that. I didn't know she was one of your guides. That's amazing.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yes. And she sometimes comes through any which ways when my client is sitting there. So she will nudge me, and she will actually ask, you know, speak about few things. And unless and until, like, sometimes I really feel that this particular client will be a little tricky for me, I always ask for help, and she always shows up. So yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Oh, wow. But yeah, we do all have our spirit guides or guardian angels all around us. So it's great to reassure people to tap into that. But in terms of QHHT now, it would be great to kind of understand a little bit about it. I know anything which has the word hypnosis in it, people get a little bit scared of that as well, thinking they're going to be out of control. You're going to have them clucking like a chicken, and then suddenly you won't be able to get them out of it, and they have to go to work and cluck like a chicken. So yeah, so there's that element that people are a little bit kind of frightened of, but or just need reassurance of. Yeah. So, but it'd be lovely to kind of hear exactly what QHHT is, what people can expect if they were to come and see you, for example. I know you do it a little bit differently, but it'd be nice to start with the pure QHHT.
Yeah, sure. So let me just tell you, as I mentioned earlier, QHHT, the full form is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. Lovely. So this basically is to do with the quantum side of healing, not the sensory side of healing. So when I talk about sensory, is we don't work with a conscious mind, we work with the subconscious mind or with a higher self. Okay, so you can call about whether it is the oversoul, there's various names that you could give. But at the end of the day, you're working with your guides, you're working with your higher self. And what it really does is it's a very powerful technique in order to tap into with when you're in a very, very, like, getting into a theta state, an altered state of mind, where consciousness is something that never dies. It carries on. Okay. And consciousness is something where you can tap into any aspects of your life, whichever life that you've been through, whether it was on Earth or any other planet or any other dimension that you've been, you could go and tap into those things. And QHHT helps and does this really, really well. And not only with QHHT, so what happens is we start on by having an interview with a client.
Mm-hmm.
And that is only to let them know that it's not about, you know, cluck like a chicken or bark like a dog, because that is something that everybody thinks, you know, they really feel that, you know, it's a thing where I have to kind of, you know, give up myself entirely, and then I don't know what I'm going to say,
Yeah.
or I will not be aware of.
Yeah.
You will be aware of everything. You will be aware, but you will be in a very, very relaxed state of mind. Okay, so that's where you're there.
Yeah.
And it is almost like, you know, we are about to wake up when you're sleeping, or we are about to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's the state that we are talking about.
Yeah.
And that is the amazing, that sweet spot that we hit in QHHT, where loads and loads of stuff that you can come out with, especially with healing, because there is this just not about the hypnosis to do and, you know, find out about your past life. The reason why we do that is we find out what is the problem that you brought forward as a soul imprint. So when we talk about soul imprint, you know, you may have done something in one of your lives and you're holding on to that really, really tight. So what we do is we get the aspects, and this is not that me taking you, it's your higher self, your guides taking you through that in order for you to see where the problem lies.
Yeah.
So me as a practitioner is only and only facilitating the entire thing. And at the end of the day, it's you and your guides and your higher self is doing the entire work.
Yeah.
And so some people really feel that, you know, they will be entirely off, and it's more like as if an anesthesia has been given and you're totally gone. No, it doesn't really work that way. You will be really much in control. Yeah, I know. I mean, with your session as well, you know. And honestly, you know, everybody has that thing in their mind, which we also call the ego mind, because the ego mind likes to kind of question a lot of things. And I really know one thing, that once the why and when kind of stops, okay, I know that the other side has awakened. So, and slowly and gradually people get into it, but it is a very, very, you know, safe method. There is nothing to be scared of. And honestly, I can just tell you that QHHT is such a lovely space where your subconscious, when your higher self has started talking and you get your messages through your higher self, it's like people are usually in tears, and things that they may be embedding inside them, suppressing inside them. They might know that there is something there, but they're not able to take it out or, you know, speak about it. This entire thing helps to take it up and bring it out, you know, and that's where the healing actually starts.
Yeah.
So that's really, you know, in depth of how really, you know, the QHHT thing works.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome method, and people really get scared because they think that, oh my God, is this for 5 to 6 hours? That's a lot of hours. And I say that, you know, you won't even realize that many hours have just gone.
Super quickly, yeah. And then there's also the questioning aspect of QHHT, right? Which is, you know, you come with your questions that you want to ask your subconscious mind, which is really powerful as well. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that side as well?
Yeah, so I basically ask, you know, my clients to get questions of whatever they would like to ask their higher self. And usually the topmost question that they have is, what's my life purpose? You know, that's the main one. Everybody comes up with that. I mean, I've hardly seen anyone, unless that person is really enlightened from within, they know what their work is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody has got that one thing that, am I doing it right? Yeah. Am I in the right path? You know, that's the first thing they say. So what I would say that, you know, I mean, the higher self knows everything.
Yeah.
The higher self, or the subconscious, which Dolores has named it the SC. She used to say it SC, and we as a practitioner, we use the word SC. So the SC knows everything. The SC is very healing. The SC is very caring. But the SC is also not sugarcoating anything, okay? So because, you know, like, it's almost like when parents, you know, if kids are doing something in front of someone, they will just kind of nudge them down and say, don't do this, don't do that. That's how your SC is as well.
Yeah.
But it will never tell you that that, you know, she did that, but it's okay. No, they will say she did this and it was not nice for her to do it. So I believe that I mean, we believe that they come as a whole lot, as a collective. So your SC or your higher self doesn't come as one person. It actually comes as a collective. So it's like we have said it, and we just know that it's hit the right spot where now the higher self has come through and actually speaking. So yes, the questions normally are being answered, and they're super quick because sometimes I don't even have to ask one question after another. It goes bang, bang, bang. I mean, like they just know the questions and they just kind of say everything out. And they give you time limits. So if I ask in how many years is this going to happen or that going to happen, they quickly give the answers as well. But it's all about visualizing it. And so people think that I'm not able to see anything. Oh my God, how am I supposed to do this? It's the inner knowing. So it's really the gut feeling from there. And because with the QHHT, the hypnosis technique, we kind of, we move the left side entirely out and we amplify the right side. And when the right side is being amplified, yes, the brain, sorry. So the brain, so the right side is amplified. Sorry, I've been like talking left and right. For me, it's the brain. So yeah, and so what I do is like, you know, we amplify the right side of the brain entirely. So the ego does not, you know, is not there at all. It just kind of vanishes off, and it's the entire connection that's made with your higher self, directing you what to say and how to go about it, and it just starts one after another. It's amazing. I always feel that I'm always kind of excited when a client comes through because it's like, ooh, new story. What am I going to get in today? So it's fun. It's fun being, you know, doing this work.
Yeah, because there were the stages where, you know, I came to see you and we talked. I literally had to tell you my life story, which was very emotional to do, but actually quite, it was a huge release because there's things you don't normally say to anyone that kind of can come up and out. And we know that even with any sort of, you know, we hold so much in, and being able to talk, it comes up and out of the body. So that was in itself, that was still the start of the healing process. And then, you know, we did the past life regression, that was right, with the where you're kind of talking yourself. So it feels a little bit, am I really doing this? Is this happening? Because it's you, your voice, you're talking, but it is your higher self kind of, it's just coming through. It feels a little bit different, as you say. And then, you know, the healing at the end sort of took place after that, which was beautiful, just to feel that energy flowing through. It was just amazing. But are they the main sort of sections, I guess, of QHHT?
Yeah. So if I have to, we start with an interview. Now, I mean, I've been taught to say it as an interview, but I like to say a chit chat session. Okay.
Yeah, it's very informal.
That could go long. So, I mean, because the interview becomes very formal, and I totally don't want any of my clients to know that this is a formal thing. This is actually a very, very relaxing thing. People don't realize that as soon as they really step in, you know, and you know, to my house, and then they sit down and they start talking, the healing actually starts from there. You know, so it's more like you are releasing anything and everything that's happened in your life that you start talking about. So I just say that, just think of me being an old friend meeting you after a long time, and you're just having a chit chat with the person. Okay. So just take me as one, and, you know, just carry on. And as the person starts growing, they also don't realize, like I've had so many clients actually even say that, gosh, I don't even remember saying this to anybody, and I'm talking that to you. So I can just tell that, you know, they've opened themselves entirely whilst they speak. And that is part of healing too. You know, we don't realize. We just think that, oh, hypnosis, that's where we're getting the healing. The healing starts from the interview itself. And so we find out every root cause. So not only that we are finding out about the past life, we're also finding out about the present life, what the client is going through. So say I've had, my huge clients have been cancer patients. So they have come through, and this is an amazing way how you could actually even cure cancer. And people think that you really need the medications, you really need that therapy in order to get there. No, well, it's something that has been embedded inside you, hence it is now erupted as a physical symptom. And that even is cancer. And, usually, like how Dolores have already mentioned, that usually it is anger, suppressed anger leading to cancer. So sometimes, someday, that person will be going through so much. And that stage was really, really hard for that person to take. And you just learn to shut up and not say a word and keep quiet entirely, and maybe just suppress that again and again and again. And that kind of comes into your mind, your emotions, but you suppress it just because you don't want to show. And that actually goes inside and embedded inside as cancer. So I always say to my clients, let it go. And it's easy to say than done, I understand, but the let go word is actually all to do for yourself, and not for anybody else. So we start by the interview. We speak about anything and everything that my client has gone through, and till the time that they're right now, so all that, and that actually takes a good chunk of time away. Okay. And because it is like a chit chat session, they don't realize that they've been talking almost for 5 hours, not 5 hours, sorry, 4 hours. They've been just talking. Okay. And when they like look at the watch and they're like, oh my God, so much of time is gone and we've not even done the session. And I'm like thinking, well, you've done quite a lot already. So yeah, and then it's like we move into the hypnosis. Now, I already give a lot of understanding of how it may feel. So it may be also that you're not seeing anything. Like some people are just seeing colors or entirely black, So we may just go into like why they're seeing that. Okay. And then I will ask them that because the right side of the brain is all the psychic side, then it's mainly your inner seeing, your inner knowing, okay, your understanding. Now that is the higher self giving you. So even if you're getting emotional, like everybody does get emotional in the session, okay, you would know that too, Gwen. So it's mainly, why is the person getting emotional? So think about that, obviously it's hit something over there, and that's the reason the person is getting emotional, because he or she is reliving that entire past life or whatever life that they are in, and they're reliving that again. So they get emotional, they tell me the story, however it is, whatever it is. And usually these stories, okay, have so much of connection compared to what they are doing right now. So it could be entire opposite. It could be something totally opposite, or it could be something that they are, any problems that they have. Like I've had people with phobias. So usually the first phobia that they come up with is height, so they always say, oh my God, I have got this thing about height. I had a client with phobia of rice. Okay. And I was like, okay, why? I was like, how and why? And I still remember, when we went into her past life, we realized that obviously she was being murdered and being thrown at some point. Now this is her past life you're talking about, and she was being like, there were loads of maggots, and that's where it all triggered from. Okay, so it could be something like that, which is again to do with soul imprint. You've brought that, or somebody have drowned and have died. There was another one also with water, phobia for water, and they hated water. They just can't stand, like they feel like something's going to happen. Now, this is a woman that I'm talking about, was a man in one of her past lives. And you could be anybody. You could be a man, you could be a woman, you could be a child, you could be an old man, you could be a higher being if that's the thing that you have been before. Okay? And you have, this person was being dragged away through a boat, and then somehow he drowned, and there was a huge stone fell on top of him. So though he knew how to kind of even swim a little bit, he was not able to do that, and he drowned and he died. And that woman has got, you know, huge issues with water. So as soon as we did that regression, it quickly went away.
Okay.
And it was amazing, like how, you know, things can get triggered for something like this, and you can bring those aspects in your present life.
Yeah, and not
so this is how we go
these things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, incredible.
So and then we move into the higher self. Now the higher self, with all those questions that they come up with, you know, I not only use those questions, but along the line, if I know that there are some questions that could be asked in order for the healing, I go ahead and ask them. Usually it's also been given by my own guides, like this and this could help. So I go ahead, because I also work intuitively. So I go ahead and ask those questions. That gives them a lot of release, a lot of understanding. And also because I throw a few questions in where the mind doesn't even know that this is coming in, because you know what? It's at the end of the day, you've written the questions, so you are aware of those questions are coming. So when I kind of throw these questions, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to say now? Well, now move your way, and let's just allow the higher self to just speak and be with you. And that's when how things just come up. And it's amazing how lovely, you know, stuff that the higher self mentions. The one thing that the higher self has mentioned in one of my clients was that make sure you drink loads and loads of water. And I was like, why you always ask about why every time water is given so much of importance? And the answer that they gave was because water is something that does in human body, if we kind of give out the secret or we tell it, this will be actually sold out just like gold or petrol. So mind you, drink loads of water in case you don't like water.
Even if you say it carries information, well, yeah, we know it carries a lot of information, water. Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot of stuff in water, and you know, mind you, you get these kind of answers coming back from your higher self. So
I'm telling you. Oh, how funny. Yeah.
So yeah, and after we finish off with, you know, all the answers and questions with higher self, and then we go into the healing. So it's almost like I've seen people, so you being a beautiful Reiki master, people who are not even meditative, have never meditated in their entire life, they feel the energy working through them. And that's how powerful these sessions are. So these are healings from spiritual blockage, if you have any, if you have any sort of physical issues in your body, you have any mental issues like, you know, depression, or, you know, even suicidal stuff, you know, that a person is thinking about, anything that is very deep and dark, you know, you all can get released with this. And it's an amazing and a lovely, lovely technique. So yeah,
it's amazing. So in terms of, obviously we've gone through CV, we've gone through all the amazing gifts that you have. So how do you do it differently compared to other QHHT practitioners? What's different about your session?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I open the door and have the client come in, I just know the client is not coming just have not arrived alone. He's arrived with at least more than 10, 20, you know, entities or energies, whatever that you say, you know, along with it. Now, this could be loved ones who were past, and, you know, your own guides, okay, or also, you know, ascended masters at times, because strong people like you, evolved people like you, okay, you also work with higher realm, you know, energies which you don't realize, and those all kind of, they all work together when it comes to healing. And being a clairvoyant, you know, I see how the healing has been done. So I physically could see from my eyes of how the energies are kind of moving. Or if the higher self is like, you know, higher self has come in, and the loved ones, you know, so it could be your granddad, your grandma, you know, it could be anything kind of working with like keeping your hands down or trying to keep your shoulders straight so that you don't move. And then my clients sometimes just ask that, Nikki, were you tapping me on my shoulder? And I was like, no, no, I have not tapped you at all. But then that is basically, you can see the amount of love they come with so that you receive the healing. And this also shows that you have got so much of, love and support around you. You're never alone. And along with that, so with that, I also get messages pouring in, like I start getting messages, and that time, sometimes it is so hard for me to not speak, and I have to kind of allow them to talk.
Yeah.
And then the messages kind of flow in because I am a channeler, and I also kind of I'm a medium, so it comes up, and I kind of give the reading or whatever that they would want, because usually whenever they're coming that strong, there's a message behind it.
Yeah.
And that message also gives a lot of healing.
Yeah.
So some people are holding on to issues. So I can give you an example. Now, this was an amazing example that I can share. This was with a man who had, his grandfather had passed, and his grandfather passed in a different country altogether, and he was here. And it seemed like when the grandfather was passing, he actually got phone calls to tell him, this is what the situation is, if you can fly in and just be there. And I don't know what came to him. He just didn't want to do it. So he didn't come. He didn't come to see his granddad at all.
Yeah.
And what really happened was his granddad, came through in the session. So the granddad, his voice changed. His granddad started talking, and then suddenly my client started tearing up because he had such a huge guilt, that because the message from his granddad was, don't worry, it was all meant to be the way it was. You were not supposed to be with me, because at the end of the day, if you were supposed to be with me, it would have been harder for me to pass. So that it was something that was contracted, which I also say that this is behind the scenes, that when we come into the human form, we forget about these things. So that is something that has happened in the soul side, that they have contracted, that when I'm passing, I would want you to stay away so that it becomes easy for me to pass. And he was holding that huge guilt in him. And that gave him instant kind of release. And he felt amazing, because he had loads of tummy issues, a lot of problem with his tummy. And that all came from the guilt that was holding in. So, yeah. So it was brilliant, because his granddad came not only through me, but also in the session. So that was brilliant, the way actually he came in. So yes, I do incorporate a lot of work of my own, because it's not that I kind of go ahead and do it. It's like, I just have to do it. When spirits come through, I kind of go ahead and give the message, because they come with a lot of love, and that message is very important for the person. So yeah, this is how I incorporate my work as well. So yeah.
That's brilliant. It makes it such a beautiful, profound experience, really, really sort of rich experience. I mean, I hadn't had QHHT before, but that element did elevate it in terms of bringing that kind of peace around some questions you might have around loved ones who've passed. And you get that closure as well, which is beautiful. And with the healing following it, it's just perfect. So yeah, that beautiful experience.
It is really overwhelming, honestly. It is quite overwhelming, because if I don't have a single, like if I don't have, I just know that my clients are going to cry.
Yeah.
It's an obvious thing that they're going to cry. Yeah. So if they don't cry, I just kind of question what happened here.
Yeah.
But I've seen always around at least 99.9% of my clients always are shedding. And remember, I mean, you being a Reiki healer, you know that when you're crying, you're releasing.
Yeah,
you're releasing, which is again healing. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, the experience.
It was an amazing experience. Oh, thank you so much for taking us through that and the journey. And it does seem very profound. And it's a deep experience. I guess it may not be for anyone who's too lighthearted, but do they have to be kind of open to the fact about having guides and what can happen, or are you preparing them for that during the interview for what can happen? Do most people
Well, I'll tell you something. So when you mentioned that, is it not for lighthearted? It's absolutely for everyone.
Great.
Everyone can do this. So I'll give you an example. Now, this example I give most of my clients because that actually puts them to ease. So I had a lady who came through. She works in an IT firm, very, very logical minded, very analytical, so entirely her left brain works more than the right. Okay,
Yeah.
she's never meditated ever in her entire life, and she's also has like she has some health issues, huge health issues. She had a hip, she was about to go for a hip replacement, and she was petrified. She was petrified because she just had an understanding that somehow the operation is going to go wrong, and she'll be ending up in you know in a bed the whole life. And I just, you know, when I started talking to her, I just realized she doesn't believe in guides. She doesn't believe in spirits. She doesn't believe in anything. Okay. But as I say, you know, this is for everybody. So this was one of those people. Okay. So who don't want to do anything about these woo-woo stuff. Okay. So what happened then? So she came in. Okay. We had a very, very good talk, chat. Everything was fine. We went on the session. Amazing session. She spoke. Her whole past life was very profound. She cried loads, and then, you know, everything happened, and later on we go through a debriefing. So as soon as you know, move out, I bring them up. We sit down and we chit chat a little bit about what has happened in the session, and a lot of understanding is being given. So while she sat there, she just kind of just quietly and politely just said this thing like, you know what, Nikki, I know that you mentioned about all that thing, but I think I made this entire thing up. And I was like, well, that is an aspect of the ego that wants to say that it's done the work and it's made everything up, and doesn't want to realize that this is, you know, the actual thing that has happened. And she's very analytical, so that's quite obvious for her to say it. So what really happened, I just asked her, why do you say that? You know, and then she goes, well, you know what, Nikki, yesterday night I was thinking about the session and I was tossing and turning around, couldn't really sleep. So I just, you know, thought of watching television, and started watching television. I'm like, okay. And she started scrolling, and then as soon as, you know, she saw there was a movie that was going on, which was right at the end, she kind of got drawn to watching that movie, and she watched the entire movie. And then she says that the past life regression that we spoke about, I just narrated that movie to you. And I was like, okay. And I asked her, can you just tell me about the movie? So she mentioned what happened in the movie, and well, and she said that, you know, this is what really I feel that I just made the entire thing up. So I had to kind of halt her, and I said, let's take your perception, not let's entirely deny it, but put it at one side and let's see what we got here. So I then asked that, is this the only movie that you watched in your entire life? And she goes, no. And I said, then why did you choose picking up this movie as one of your things to speak in your past life? Just because it was so, you know, fresh in my mind. I said, okay. So then I asked the next question is that the movie, the way it ended, so even her life, the way it ended was kind of brutal, okay? And it had to do with her hip area, okay? So when that happened, I was like, well, that's coincidental, isn't it? And she didn't realize that. She goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, yes. And then I asked that, why would you choose to end your life if you're making it up in such a terrible state? You know, you would rather choose to be a queen or a king, you know, that's the good things, isn't it? And she goes, yeah, that makes sense. So I was like, now let's go back, okay, and let's see how the divine works, or your guides and your higher self works. So I would say that because you are a very, very analytical person, you know, your guides had a plan for you, okay? So because they knew that you are someone who entirely, you know, feels agitated, because if you're not sure about something or something new is going on and you don't know entirely what to do about it, you go into anxiety. She's like, yeah, that's right. And I said, and that is the reason they kind of made you, influence you to watch a movie. And coincidentally, which they say, but I know that there's no such thing as being coincident, that you were being put to watch that particular movie at that time. And then when you are actually, you know, doing the session, it was being brought up, and so that you can quickly just talk about that. And I asked her, you mentioned the end part of the movie. What about the rest of it? You know, because we did do a lot of, you know, how and why and whom are you with. And she goes, you know what, Nikki, I just kind of made that up. I just kind of take this and that together and I just together. And I just told her that, no, well, this doesn't really happen. Whatever that you're sensing and feeling is what you were giving. And that is what really happened. So she got an amazing and a lovely, you know, healing in her body, because she was her hip area. So her hip area was, and one of the sides of the hip was like fallen down. Okay. So that is a bone structure. And that is the reason they had to have the surgery done. So there was a lot of swelling and and she was in pain, this lady. So as soon as she as soon as she woke up and she got up, she could really walk a bit better than how she was walking already. This happened already.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but then I didn't say anything, but I have a habit of always checking on my clients. Always, I make sure that I call them up. I ask them how they're doing, how's everything going.
Yeah.
And that day, you know, the second day, the lady mentioned that, the pain seems to be a little gone. The swelling seems to have gone already a little. But then because she's analytical, she just went, well, I'll let you know in the coming few weeks. Okay. And then I had no call, absolutely no call from there. And then after 1.5 months, I've already forgotten this lady, to be honest. And she's giving me a call. She's saying, I picked up the call, I forgot her, and she kind of reminded, I'm that lady, you know, the one who watched television. I'm like, oh yeah. And she, you know, we spoke, and she's like, I'm actually standing in the surgery, and I was supposed to have a surgery done today. And I already was feeling that my walking has gone much better. She was also taking walks at that time. So the whole lockdown situation at that time, you know, she was taking walks, and this lady couldn't walk properly. So she was like, I was kind of sure that something has changed, but I wasn't, when I really wanted to have the x-ray done. So the NHS people did not kind of, you know, gave her an appointment at that time. And they said, you just have to come on the same day when we have scheduled you for the surgery. So she went in, the doctors took another x-ray, and they had both the x-rays in front, okay? And they were shocked. They were like, it looks like two different people's x-ray in front of us. So no medications, nothing. And now the bone has somehow just moved up, and they are like together, joined. There's no swelling, nothing. The doctors just say that you could go, and whatever that you were doing, carry on doing that.
That's amazing. That's a brilliant.
So this is one of the things, and this lady now is a total believer.
Yeah,
she meditates now. Yeah, she meditates now. She's too much into it, so she's now gone in. But she was one of those people who never believed in any of these things. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a great example of someone who's skeptical, but things find a way of happening and working. We don't know how it's going to happen, but yeah, it's just amazing that she had that healing and didn't think she had. You thought she'd made it all up.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is, you know. I think the ego takes a lot of you.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that the ego is just given to us as a survival mode. We are only supposed to survive. So they give a fight and flight reaction.
Yeah.
That's why the ego has been given.
Yeah.
But not to take each and every, you know, aspect. You don't need the ego. You rather need your intuition, which comes from your higher self.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Definitely, and that kind of trust. But yeah, she had the best evidence. She had the healing she wanted. So it's amazing.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nikki. That's absolutely brilliant. What I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is just kind of take some questions from people. I saw some scroll up. Is that all right? Someone was asking, because obviously people would love to work with you, I'm sure. Someone was asking if you only, can it be done remotely, QHHT, or do they have to come and join you at your home? And so I know you.
Well, QHHT is entirely, a modality which Dolores Cannon wants. I mean, she made it very strict that it has to be done, face to face.
Okay.
You have to do like in person.
Yeah.
You have to do it in person. But I have developed other, because I've done other, hypnotherapist courses, I've actually made my own modality, which I actually work with, and it is also done through, remotely, which I have done, a few of my own people. So I kind of work in that sense as well. And they have marvelous and a lovely, healing aspect with it as well. So yeah, it can be done, but not cured.
Yeah, that's really good to know. I'm just seeing, does anyone else have any questions? If so, drop them in the comments. That was the only one I saw from Christine from KR Healing. Thanks for that, Christine. But if anyone has anything else, I'm scrolling through to see what I can see. Lots of lovely hellos. Lots of people here. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you here. Yeah, Annie. Yeah. Oh, someone's saying your voice is very relaxing.
Oh, wait, we have to get there. We have to get there.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, please drop them in comments. Can you, yeah, so that was the main one, I think. Can you do the work remotely? It's just such a huge, amazing topic that I think most people are just really encapsulated by what you're saying. It's just like, wow, you just don't realize how much is possible, as you say, how much is actually going on without us being aware of it. We're probably not on the same frequency of everything that's kind of going on. But the healing and the work you're doing is just incredible to be able to help people with, really severe diagnosis, whether it's cancer or any kind of trauma, and just to be able to get them that shift. And it's just great that you have that care as well. You're spending all day with them. You've got the aftercare afterwards. I know you were in touch with me afterwards. It wasn't just like walk out and never hear from you again. So it's a really nice holistic treatment. And you genuinely care. A lot of it, what made it special for me was you, Nikki. You're just such an amazing person. And you can see your heart is huge. And it was just, yeah, so it just makes the whole process easier. You don't feel like you're being tricked into saying something, or it just feels so relaxing. You just find yourself sharing and sharing and sharing. It's an incredible experience.
Thank you, Gwen. I think one of the questions, there is a question over here. I could see it. It's is that okay if I could read it out?
Go ahead, yeah, because I've missed it, obviously.
Because I'm able to see it right in front. So it says, I think it's from Sophia. And Sophia's asking, if you don't know what questions to ask, does it just come to you whilst you're there? I know there's something, but I don't know what or why. Well, okay, Sophia, that's a lovely question. What I would say to that is, if you're not even aware of your questions, okay, just come in, and as we were going to talk about it, you will know what your questions will be. And I've had so many people who are totally like, I just don't know what I want to know. And I would say, okay, let's do one thing. Let's start with your story first, okay? And let's talk about your story. So we start about their stories. They start, that I had this and I had that. And then I say, would you like to ask this part? Like, why did this happen? Or why that happened? Oh yeah, that's an amazing thing. I really want to know that. And that actually comes in. So it is a very good thing. So the interview kind of gives a lot, even people. So sometimes, you've written, you have a set of questions and we add more even after, the person has prepared those. And I was like, should we just add those in? And they were like, yeah, how about that? I totally forgot about it. So we can make the questions even at that time. So, and you will be aware, because what really happens in the session is, suddenly it's the energies over here. Like, suddenly it's like waking you up from a place where you may be sleeping for a long period of time. And maybe you did not even go there. Hence, I have loads of people say, gosh, I've never spoken about this to anybody. Now, that's where we understand that There could be something there. That's the reason the person doesn't want to talk about it. So that is also an aspect that we can find out more questions from there. So this is how we can also find more questions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the questions don't necessarily have to be profound, from what I understand, anyway, Sophia. So
it could be
sometimes
anything.
it can be, when I'm going to find my man, why my relationship
Exactly.
always ending in
Yes.
It could be anything like that. Nikki's very open to all of those questions because it's your higher self that has the answers for you anyway. So it doesn't have to be the deep kind of meaningful.
Yes, it doesn't really have to be any deep questions. So usually I've had people like even say that I don't want to have any body hair. Can we talk about that?
Oh, okay.
I have had all sorts of questions, honestly, but I try and incorporate them, you know, any which ways, because it's the higher self who's actually doing the talking. So I would kind of leave it all to the higher self, like let the higher self speak, and we will get all the answers then. So yeah, it could be anything, even silly stuff like that. So it's okay.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that, Nikki. There is another question there as well, isn't there? What's your advice to people who are scared of spirits?
Okay, well, let me give you a story over here. I have someone, okay, and she's over here as well with me. So I've had a Reiki healer, a crystal Reiki master who had come with me for a session. And her main thing was when she's doing Reiki healing, okay, she can sense things, and she wanted to have a good bond with, you know, her guides. And I was like, yeah, why not? You know, that's easy. Let's do that. And then we went ahead, you know, and like when she went ahead and like asked more questions, and we went into her life, and we found out that she was petrified of spirits. Okay, petrified, like literally, like she just can't do it. And being a medium, I could seriously see that she is a medium herself. Okay, and I was like, maybe I just don't want to say this again, you know, but maybe, you know, have the experience done, open up that aspect of her so that she understands what she is here for. So anyways, you know, we went in with a session. She had an amazing, you know, past life regression. So found out that she was an oracle, and she was not even a human being. She was another being from another planet altogether, or another star. And she was here. She has been. So an oracle is, in those days, or if people would know what oracles are, they can channel messages, and they kind of, you know, do their own thing. And a person who is like that, or had been that past life that they had lived, they bring those gifts with them in their present life. And, you know, she had that, and hence, you know, she could sense, she could feel, and it was exactly like, you know, she could feel the presence, but she was so scared. After the session, after the healing that she received, she did even cry quite a lot, but, you know, after the session, you know, she's now an entirely different person. She now is doing all these amazing healings that she's doing, where she brings forward these people, their guides, okay, their loved ones and she does the Reiki healing, and they're so profound. So I can just say that, you know, it's just given her Reiki, you know, another level. It's gone on to another level. So anybody who is also doing any energy work, okay, who would like to have any, so if they feel like they're blocked in some matters, they want to open that up, they want to get their Reiki into another level altogether, this is a very, very good technique to actually open those channels for you.
Wonderful.
So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. And because we're running out of time a little bit, I've got a final question for you. If it makes sense to you now, I don't know. But you've obviously helped a lot of people over the years. And what one piece of advice, knowledge, or understanding would you like to share with everyone that you think might help them on their healing or spiritual journey, or even with life in general? That's a long question.
Right. So, you know what? I really feel so big to answer this, as if like, you know, so much. No, I just know one thing, that whatever that you do in life, okay, just remain humble. Okay, that's the main thing. Just remain humble, because I've learned that when a person works too much with the ego, you know, they forget that that's not why you are here for. Okay, there's a bigger aspect and a bigger purpose that you're here for. And the ego is just a little you over there. Okay, and that's not what you are. You know, you are this bigger aspect than that. So what I've learned through my journeys and all, you know, to help people and to bring healing into their life is just know that, you know, unconditional love is the only highest energy that ever is and there or ever will be.
Yeah.
So I really can tell you one thing, that unconditional, and that's the reason I work entirely with heart-centeredness. And that's taught me a lot. And this is my way to go ahead and touch others' lives so that they could be the same as well. So yeah, this is one of the only thing that I know, that unconditional love and working heart-centeredly is the only thing that actually could take you to any level that you like, whether that is any problems, any issues, any traumas that you're going through. If you bring on with it aspect that I know I'm here to do something, whatever that is, I'll still go on, but I'll always keep myself heart-centered. So that really works.
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And for the previous question from my Reiki star, she says thank you. So that's wonderful. And so just to finish up, where can people find you, get hold of you, book sessions with you? Where can they go?
Right. Okay. So I've got my website, which is www.thetranquility.co.uk. And you can find me on Facebook with the same, The Tranquility. And I've got my Insta page as well at the same, thetranquility.co.uk. So everything is of the same name. Wonderful. So you could just find me with that.
Definitely follow her and ask any questions. Oh, that's been absolutely brilliant, Nikki. Thank you so much. It's an amazing insight. Really took us really, really deep there, which was wonderful to see, and just to kind of open our minds up a lot more to what's possible. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us tonight. I think we've learned so much. We've learned a lot. And it's just lovely having your energy here in this space. And even the conversation, I think, is healing. It's just wonderful. Yes, go to Nikki's website, follow her on Instagram. If you've got any questions for her, you can obviously ask her as well on Instagram, on her website too. But it's a session I highly recommend. It's completely immersive. Just go with this open mind, open heart, and she'll make you feel absolutely wonderful anyway. You walk out of there really feeling so much lighter. Highly recommend it. But yes, thank you so much, Madam.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you. So I just wanted to say at the last, you know, it was lovely doing this with you, my first Insta Live, and you made me so comfortable.
Oh, bless you.
And just, you know, just I know that, Gwen, you are a lovely person, and I always feel blessed that I got in touch with you, because you are an evolved soul yourself, which you know. Gwen has found out about herself in her session too. Okay, so she is, you know, you're a profound person yourself. You're a person who has, you know, and helped so many people. So my gratitude to you. Thanks a lot for, you know, helping me and like helping me do my work, which is very, very important as well. So thanks a lot, and it was a pleasure doing this with you. Thank you once again.
It had to be shared. It had to be shared. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been amazing. Reiki star Sharon, trying to read some of the names, Sophia as well. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. Lee Gedges, I think that is. There's so many people on here. Kiklau, thank you. But yeah, we'll say goodnight. Thank you so much, Nikki. We'll speak again soon.
Thank you.
I'm sure. But yeah, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Wonderful evening, Nikki. Namaste.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.